Stepmom sold my car for stepbrother's wedding, but used my inheritance money, expects me to be happy. Okay, Reddit, buckle up because you are not going to believe this. I am 28 years old and my life has been a roller coaster ever since my dad remarried when I was 16. My stepmom Lisa is, well, she is a piece of work. Her son Mark, who is a year younger than me, has always been the golden child in her eyes, and I have always felt like I am just there. Like background noise, you know. My dad, bless his heart, tried to balance things out. He really did. But Lisa is persistent, let's put it that way. She always managed to get her way, especially when it came to Mark. If Mark wanted something, Mark got it. If I wanted something, well, I had to jump through hoops, and even then it was a maybe. It was frustrating growing up, to say the least. My dad passed away last year. It was sudden, a heart attack. It shook our world, obviously. He had a will, thankfully, and things were supposed to be straightforward. He left the house to Lisa, which was fair enough. They were married for over 10 years. And he left me a small inheritance, a decent amount of money, not life-changing riches, but enough to give me a good start, you know. It was supposed to be for my future, for a down payment on a house, or to invest, or whatever I needed. Anyway, fast forward to a few weeks ago. My stepbrother Mark proposed to his girlfriend Sarah. Cue the celebrations, the happy family vibes, the wedding planning frenzy. Lisa has been in full wedding planner mode, which honestly is fine. Weddings are a big deal and everyone gets excited. Except things started to get weird. I have a car, a decent sedan, nothing fancy but reliable. I bought it a few years ago, saved up for it, and it was my pride and joy. I needed it for work, for getting around, for everything. Last week I went to go to the grocery store and my parking spot was empty, just gone. I panicked, I thought it was stolen. I called the police, reported it stolen, the whole 9 yards. Then I called Lisa, just to let her know what was going on, because she lives in the same house and sometimes parks in the driveway. She answered the phone, all cheerful and bubbly, talking about wedding flowers and cake tastings. I told her about my car being stolen, and she went quiet for a second. Then she said, "Oh, about that car," my stomach dropped. I just knew in that moment something was seriously wrong. She said, "Well, actually, it was not stolen. I sold it." I almost dropped my phone. I said, "You did what? You sold my car?" "Lisa, that was my car." She started to stammer and make excuses, saying she thought I was not using it that much, which is a complete lie. I drive it every day. She said she needed the money for Mark's wedding. For Mark's wedding. Like my car was just some spare change lying around. I was already furious, but then she dropped the real bomb. She said, "Well, you know that inheritance your dad left you. I used some of that too. Some of it. Lisa, that was my inheritance. That was money my dad wanted me to have for my future." She just casually used it for her precious son's wedding. I was so angry I could barely speak. I managed to ask her how much. "How much of my inheritance did you use?" She hemmed and hawed and finally admitted she used about half of it. Half. For flowers, for a fancy photographer, for who knows what else wedding extravagance. And she sold my car on top of that. I was speechless. She then had the audacity to say that I should be happy to contribute to Mark's special day. That family helps each other out. That it is just money and cars and family is more important. Family is more important. Is that why she stole from me to fund her favorite son's wedding? Is that family? I do not think so. I hung up on her because I could not even deal with her anymore. I was shaking with anger. I felt betrayed, ripped off, and completely disrespected. My own stepmother stole from me to pay for her son's wedding and expects me to be okay with it. To be happy about it. Are you kidding me? I called my best friend Douglas and told him everything. He was just as outraged as I was. He kept saying, "You have to do something, Mason. You cannot let her get away with this." He is right, I know he is. But what can I even do? She has already sold my car and she has already spent half my inheritance. The money is gone, the car is gone, and I am left with nothing but anger and a huge sense of injustice. Help me out here, Reddit. Am I overreacting? Am I the asshole for being furious about this? What would you do in my situation? I am seriously lost and do not know where to go from here. Update 1. The response to my original post was incredible. Thank you all so much for your support and advice. I honestly felt so alone and crazy before I posted, like maybe I was making too big of a deal out of this. But reading your comments made me realize I am not insane, and this is absolutely not okay. So thank you, Reddit, for validating my feelings. A lot of you asked for more details, so here are a few more things that might be relevant. First, about the car. It was not a brand new luxury car, but it was a reliable 2018 Honda Civic. I paid about $15,000 for it a few years ago. Lisa sold it to some used car dealership for, get this, $3,000. $3,000, she practically gave it away. And she did not even bother to tell me or ask me or anything. Just sold it. Poof, car gone. As for the inheritance, my dad left me $50,000. $50,000 that was supposed to be for me. Lisa admitted to using about half of it, so that is $25,000. $25,000, plus she sold my car for peanuts. We are talking about a serious amount of money here. Money that was mine. Some of you suggested I look at my dad's will. That is a good idea, and I should have thought of it myself, to be honest. I have a copy of it somewhere. I need to dig it out and reread it carefully. I remember vaguely that it said something about the inheritance being specifically for me, with no restrictions, but I need to double-check the exact wording. A few people asked about my relationship with Mark. Honestly, it is complicated. Growing up, we were never really close. He was always mommy's boy, and I was always kind of on the outside. He is not a bad guy exactly, just spoiled and entitled. He has always gotten everything he wanted, and he expects things to be handed to him on a silver platter. I do not think he is malicious, but he is definitely clueless about how the real world works. I have not talked to Mark about any of this yet. I wanted to deal with Lisa first. But I know I need to talk to him eventually. I am just dreading it. I can already imagine him making excuses for his mom, or saying he did not know anything about it, or whatever. A lot of you are suggesting I go no contact with Lisa. Honestly, that is tempting, very tempting, but it is complicated. She is still living in my dad's house, the house I grew up in. And even though our relationship is strained, she is still technically family. Completely cutting her off feels drastic. But maybe it is necessary. I do not know. I am planning to confront Lisa again. I want to know exactly where my money went. I want to know why she thought it was okay to steal from me. And I want my car back, or at least the real value of my car. I know that is probably wishful thinking, but I have to try. Thank you again for all your comments and support. It really means a lot to me. I will keep you updated on what happens next. Wish me luck, Reddit. I am going to need it. Update 2. Okay, Reddit, brace yourselves, because things just got even more insane. I confronted Lisa again just like I said I would, and it did not go well. Actually, it went spectacularly badly. I went over to my dad's house yesterday evening. I was nervous, but I was also determined. I had reread my dad's will, and as I suspected, it was very clear about the inheritance. It stated explicitly that the $50,000 was for me, Mason, and for my sole use and benefit. There were no conditions, no clauses about sharing it with anyone, nothing. It was my money, plain and simple. I walked into the house and Lisa was in the kitchen, humming to herself and chopping vegetables. She looked up when I came in and her smile faltered a little when she saw my face. I guess she knew I was not there for a friendly chat. I said, "Lisa, we need to talk. Seriously talk." She put down her knife and turned to face me, looking all innocent and wide-eyed. "Oh, hello, Mason, what is up?" Like nothing had happened, like she had not stolen my car and raided my inheritance. I said, "Lisa, you sold my car, and you used my inheritance money for Mark's wedding. We need to talk about this." She sighed dramatically and rolled her eyes. "Oh, here we go again," she said. "Can we not just let this go? It is for Mark's wedding, Mason. It is a special occasion." I could not believe she was still trying to justify this. I said, "Lisa, you stole from me. That is what you did. You stole my car and my money, and it is not okay." She scoffed and said, "Do not be so dramatic, Mason. I did not steal from you, I just borrowed it. Borrowed my car and sold it. Borrowed my inheritance and spent half of it. That is not borrowing, Lisa, that is stealing." I pulled out the copy of my dad's will. I said, "Look at this, Lisa. This is my dad's will. It clearly states that this money is for me. For my sole use and benefit. It is not for Mark's wedding. It is not for you to spend as you please. It is for me." She glanced at the will, barely even looked at it, and said, "Oh, wills can be changed, you know." "Changed? What are you talking about?" I said. She said, "Well, your father was not in his right mind when he wrote that will. He was grieving your mother. He was not thinking clearly. He probably meant for that money to be for the family, for all of us." I stared at her, completely dumbfounded. "Are you seriously trying to say that my dad was not in his right mind when he wrote his will?" I said. "He was perfectly fine. He was thinking very clearly when he made those decisions. He wanted me to have that money, and you stole it." She started to raise her voice. "Do not you dare accuse me of stealing, Mason. I am your stepmother. I would never steal from family. She said, but you did, Lisa. You literally sold my car and spent my inheritance. What else would you call it? She then started to cry. Oh, poor me, she wailed. I'm just trying to make Mark's wedding special. He deserves a beautiful wedding. He is my son, and you are just being selfish and ungrateful. Ungrateful? I am ungrateful. She is the one who stole from me, and I am ungrateful. This was beyond ridiculous. I tried to stay calm, but I was losing it. I said, Lisa, I want my money back. All of it. And I want the value of my car back. You need to reimburse me. She just laughed a cold, hard laugh. Reimburse you? Where am I going to get that kind of money? The wedding is already costing a fortune. I said, that is not my problem, Lisa. You should have thought about that before you stole from me. You need to figure it out. Sell something else. Sell your jewelry. Sell your fancy furniture. I do not care. Just get my money back. She glared at me, her eyes narrowed. You are just like your father, she spat, always so selfish and greedy. You only care about money. Family means nothing to you. I could not take it anymore. I just turned around and walked out. I slammed the door behind me and I could hear her screaming and crying inside. I am so done with her, Reddit, so completely done. I do not know what to do next. Legal action? Is that even possible? Can I sue my stepmother for stealing my inheritance? I'm so stressed and angry and frustrated. This whole situation is a nightmare. What do I do now? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I'm seriously at my breaking point. Update 3. Well, Reddit, things have taken another turn, and this time, Mark is involved. Remember how I said I had not talked to Mark yet? Yeah, that changed. And it was even more awkward and uncomfortable than I could have imagined. After my disastrous confrontation with Lisa, I was feeling completely defeated. I went back to my apartment, feeling drained and hopeless. I was just sitting on my couch, staring at the wall when my phone rang. It was Mark. I almost did not answer it, but I figured I should probably hear what he had to say. I answered and he sounded hesitant. Hey Mason, it is Mark, he said. Yeah, I know, I replied, trying to keep my voice neutral. He cleared his throat and said, so, Mom told me you came by yesterday. Yeah, I said we had a little chat. A little chat? He said. She said it was heated. Heated is an understatement, I thought to myself. I said, yeah, it was heated. Because your mom stole my car and my inheritance money to pay for your wedding. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. I could practically hear him swallowing hard. He finally said, look, Mason, I did not know anything about this, okay? I swear. I did not know she sold your car, and I definitely did not know she used your inheritance money. I wanted to believe him, I really did. But it was hard. He has always been so oblivious to everything outside of his own little bubble. I said, seriously, Mark, you did not know. Your mom sold my car and spent $25,000 of my money and you had no idea. He insisted, no, man, I really did not. Mom has been handling all the wedding stuff, you know. I just trusted her. I thought she was using her own money or maybe some of Dad's savings or something. I had no idea it was your inheritance, and definitely not your car. That is insane. He actually sounded genuinely shocked and upset. It was hard to tell if he was being sincere or just putting on an act, but he seemed pretty convincing. I said, well, whether you knew or not, Mark, it happened. Your mom stole from me, and I am not okay with it. He said, I understand, man, I really do. This is messed up. I am so sorry. I said, sorry does not cut it, Mark. I want my money back, and I want the value of my car back. He sighed and said, I know. Let me talk to Mom, okay? Let me see what I can do. He said he would call me back later. I hung up, feeling a little bit confused. Was Mark really being honest? Did he really not know anything about this? It seemed almost unbelievable, but maybe, just maybe, he was telling the truth. And if he was, what does that mean? Does it change anything? Later that evening, Mark called me back. He sounded even more stressed out than before. He said, okay, Mason, I talked to Mom. And well, it was not pretty. He said she is refusing to admit she did anything wrong. She is still saying it was for the family, and that I deserve a beautiful wedding and all that nonsense. He said he tried to explain to her that she stole from me, and that it is not okay, but she just would not listen. She got all defensive and started yelling at him, saying I was turning him against her, and that I was trying to ruin his wedding. Mark sounded completely exasperated. He said, look, Mason, Mom is being impossible. But I believe you, and I believe this is wrong, and I want to fix it. He said, I do not have $25,000 lying around and I cannot magically get your car back, but I can try to make things right. He said, Sarah and I have some savings for the wedding. It is not a lot, but we can use some of it to pay you back. And I will talk to Sarah, and maybe we can cut back on some of the wedding expenses. We do not need the most expensive flowers or the fanciest photographer. We can have a beautiful wedding without breaking the bank or stealing from family. I was actually speechless. Mark, the spoiled, entitled stepbrother, was offering to pay me back out of his own wedding savings. I did not see that coming. I said, Mark, are you serious? You would do that? He said, yeah, man, I am serious. This is not right, and I want to make it right, for you and for me and for Sarah. She is furious about this too, by the way. She cannot believe Mom would do something like this. He said, it will not be the full amount right away, but we can start paying you back as soon as we can. And we can figure out a payment plan for the rest. And I will try to talk to Mom again, try to make her understand how wrong she was. But honestly, Mason, I do not know if she will ever admit she did anything wrong. She is being completely unreasonable. I was blown away. Mark was actually stepping up. He was taking responsibility, even though he was not the one who stole from me. He was trying to fix his mom's mess. It was unexpected, to say the least. I said, Mark, I do not know what to say, thank you. Thank you for doing this. He said, no problem, man. It is the right thing to do, we will figure this out. So, Reddit, what do you think? Is this a turning point? Is there hope for reconciliation with Mark at least? I am still furious at Lisa, and I do not know if I can ever forgive her. But maybe, just maybe, there is a glimmer of hope here. I'm still processing everything, but I'm starting to feel a little bit better. A little bit less hopeless. What do you think I should do next? Should I accept Mark's offer to pay me back? Should I try to talk to Lisa again with Mark's help? Or is it time to just cut my losses and move on? Let me know your thoughts, Reddit. Update 4. Okay, Reddit, I have some good news finally. Things have actually taken a positive turn, and I am feeling much better about everything. It turns out, Mark is not just talking the talk, he is walking the walk. He and Sarah are amazing. So after our last conversation, Mark and Sarah actually came over to my apartment. They brought pizza and beer, and we sat down and talked everything through. Sarah is just as horrified by Lisa's actions as Mark and I are. She said she had no idea Lisa was capable of something like this, and she is completely on my side. She was actually the one who pushed Mark to call me and try to fix things. Apparently, she had a major blow-up with Lisa herself when Mark told her what happened. Good for Sarah. Mark and Sarah presented me with a plan. They had looked at their wedding budget, and they figured out they could cut back on several things without sacrificing the important stuff. They are going to have a smaller wedding, with fewer guests, and they are going to find a less expensive venue. They are also going to DIY some of the decorations and cut back on some of the non-essential extras. By doing all of this, they managed to free up about $10,000 that they can give me right away. $10,000. That is a huge chunk of the money Lisa stole. They handed me a check for $10,000 right then and there. I was floored. I did not expect them to be able to come up with that much money so quickly. I tried to refuse it, saying they should keep it for their wedding, but they insisted. They said they would rather have a slightly less extravagant wedding and know that they did the right thing. They said they would work out a payment plan to pay me back the rest of the money over the next few months. They are both working, and they are determined to make this right. I was so touched by their generosity and their commitment to fixing this mess. It really changed my perspective on Mark. I always thought of him as spoiled and entitled, but he is actually a really good guy. He has just been sheltered, I guess, and maybe a little bit too trusting of his mom, but he is definitely not a bad person. And Sarah is amazing. She is smart and strong and has a great sense of justice. I can see why Mark is marrying her. We talked for hours that night, and we actually bonded for the first time in our lives. It was weird, but also kind of wonderful. We talked about our childhoods, about our dad, about Lisa, about everything. I realized that Mark and I have more in common than I thought. We both grew up in the same house, with the same complicated family dynamics. We just dealt with it in different ways. As for Lisa, Mark said he is still trying to talk to her, but she is being completely stubborn and refuses to admit she did anything wrong. He said she is convinced she did it for the family, and that I am being unreasonable and selfish. He said he is not sure if she will ever change her mind. Honestly, at this point, I do not really care anymore. I am done with Lisa. I am going low contact with her. I will be polite if I have to see her at family events, but I am not going out of my way to spend time with her. She has burned too many bridges, but I am so grateful for Mark and Sarah. They have shown me that not everyone in my stepfamily is terrible. They have restored my faith in humanity, a little bit, and they have given me hope for a better future. I am still dealing with the financial fallout of Lisa's actions, and I am still carless, which is a pain. But I have my inheritance back, or at least most of it, thanks to Mark and Sarah, and I have gained a new appreciation for my stepbrother and a new friend in Sarah. So Reddit, thank you again for all your advice and support. You helped me realize I was not crazy and that my anger was justified, and you gave me the courage to confront Lisa and to reach out to Mark. Things are not perfect, but they are definitely moving in the right direction. I'm going to take Mark and Sarah up on their offer to pay me back, and I am going to start looking for a new car. And I am going to focus on building a better relationship with Mark and Sarah. Maybe, just maybe, this whole mess will actually turn out to be a blessing in disguise. What do you think, Reddit? Am I wrong to feel optimistic? What would you do next in my situation? Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.